I'm Jess, and welcome to my channel. As the year comes to an end, I've been thinking about my favorite reads of the year. It's been a weird reading year for me, with several reading slumps. Despite that, I did manage to find a few standout books. So here are my favorite books I read this year, in the order that I read them. I started the year off strong with It'll Only Hurt for a Moment by Delilah S. Dawson. It's an atmospheric thriller full of feminine rage. Delilah S. Dawson does feminine rage really well. Sarah leaves her abusive boyfriend and is looking for a fresh start. She gets a place at Tranquil Falls, an artist's colony on the grounds of a closed hotel. While digging a hole for a pit kiln, Sarah uncovers the body of a young woman in a coffin. And then weird things start happening at Tranquil Falls. Sarah is being haunted by the ghost of the woman she found and works to uncover the truth of how the woman died and why the hotel closed. Content warning: if you're interested in It'll Only Hurt for a Moment, rape, including use of drugs to incapacitate the victim, and I guess the best way to describe it is medical abuse. The next great book I read was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. It was so good. I actually read it twice, back to back. Suzanne Collins is such an amazing author, and she includes so many little details in her world building. It's just too good. But she'll also stab you in the gut and turn the knife. Sunrise on the Reaping is the second prequel to the Hunger Games series. It follows Hamish Abernathy during the 50th Hunger Games. The book also explores the use of propaganda and how events can be twisted and rewritten in our memory to serve the narrative of a fascist regime. If you haven't already read Sunrise on the Reaping, just know that Suzanne Collins will hurt you and you'll like it. I actually filmed a review of Sunrise on the Reaping back in April, but scrapped it because I got sick of looking at my face while editing. I plan on refilming it eventually. I'm also thinking of reviewing the rest of the Hunger Games series. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments. The final book that I think is worthy of making this list is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. I loved Nettle and Bone so much while I was reading it, but now that it's been a few months since I finished it, I think it could have been better. I feel this way about everything I've read by T. Kingfisher. Her books are really good and I enjoy them immensely while I'm reading them, but they just seem to be missing a little spark, something to take them from really good to great. Nettle and Bone is about Mara, the youngest princess of a small kingdom wedged between two much larger kingdoms. Her older sister, Damia, marries the prince of one of the neighboring kingdoms, Prince Forling, but dies a few months later. Then Mara's middle sister, Kanya, marries Prince Forling, and Mara is sent to a convent. Mara is happy with this move. She was never interested in playing the game of politics, and was happy to be taken off the board. After several years, at the funeral of her niece, Mara realizes that her sister is being abused and decides to rescue her. She enlists the help of a dust wife to help her on her mission. I loved Mara so much. She's so autism-coded. It was so nice reading a book about a 30-ish-year-old, probably autistic if autism existed in that world, protagonist. As a little bonus, let me tell you about the worst book I read this year. Nancy Drew and the Witch Tree Symbol. I feel like I need to explain myself. So after the video where I discussed the two different versions of the mystery of the brass-bound trunk, I wanted to see if any of the other first 34 Nancy Drew books had been completely rewritten when they were re-released. If you didn't know, starting in 1957, with the 35th Nancy Drew Mystery Stories book, the formatting of the books changed from 25 chapters to 20 chapters. The earlier books in the series were edited and sometimes completely rewritten to fit with the new formatting method. I don't have easy access to both versions of the first 34 books, and I don't care enough to hunt them down, but I did go through my collection of my mother's old Nancy Drew books and found 3 more of the original books. There are a few easy ways to tell if the book is the original or the revised version. 1. Look at the end pages. If they're blue, they're the original. 2. Look at the number of chapters. If there are 25 chapters, it's the original. If there are 20, it's the revised version. And 3, look at the copyright page. If there's one copyright date is the original. If there are two dates, it's the revised version. Just remember that only the first 34 books were revised, so if you're looking at book 35 or later, it's the original. In The Witch Tree Symbol, Nancy solves a mystery in Amish country, and I don't like anything that glamorizes the Amish. They are a high-control group that intentionally keeps their children uneducated to make it harder for them to leave. They also cut off anyone who leaves from communicating with their family and friends. Most people stay in the Amish community because they don't really have a choice. How are they supposed to get by with an 8th grade education, little to no knowledge of how to use modern technology, and no community support? I read the revised version first and made it about halfway through the original version before I got bored and gave up. So far, the story is exactly the same. They might have changed something later on, but finding out what they changed to cut 24 pages from the book isn't enticing enough to convince me to keep reading. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And leave me a comment letting me know what your favorite books you read in 2025 are. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day.